Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my new Batman video. There are a lot of questions based on the Michael Keaton news, him coming back as Batman. What does this mean for Robert Pattinson's Batman, the next Justice League movie? What is canon, what is not? So we'll break it all down. We got some more details from Warner Brothers according to some of the trade publications yesterday. So there's a bunch of Easter eggs. It's not quite as complicated as it sounds. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll do a new Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know which other movies you want Michael Keaton's Batman to cross over with. That's right, he's going to be in multiple upcoming DC movies. I'll talk about those through the video just because it's all part of Warner Brothers' plan to have this all make sense. Believe it or not, they do have a plan for all this. So first thing, number 5, Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman while we also have them launching a major new Batman trilogy with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves. And we have Ben Affleck's Batman in the upcoming Justice League Snyder Cut, future Justice League crossover movies, and then future Batman spin-off movies with other characters like a live-action Batman Beyond movie. The future is Batman as far as the eye can see. It's a good time to be a Batman fan. But the big question now is which Batman actors are going to cross over with the other DC characters and who's going to be in that next Justice League team. So surprisingly, Warner Brothers is actually borrowing from the DC TV universe strategy in a rare move to connect everything and make it all make sense. Normally it's the TV shows that copy what the movies are doing. But comic book movies and superhero movies have evolved to the point where fans understand weirder concepts and story twists that the comics have been trading on for 40 or 50 years. And it's all about the multiverse. Marvel is taking its movies in the MCU in the exact same direction, take a hard left into the multiverse to keep things fresh and weird. So number 4, according to The Wrap yesterday, Warner Brothers' plans are that Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman trilogy is still meant to be the future of the Batman character. It's their crown jewel of Batman in the movies, so to speak, and to that end, they're giving Matt Reeves pretty much free reign to reboot the character and the creative for that franchise any way that he wants. So everything about the look and the feel of Batman, the tone, the setting, the context will be very different from the Zack Snyder-driven Ben Affleck Batman of the Justice League universe and the DCEU. And in order to give him a fresh start with the new actor and the new sort of Batman franchise, they're letting that new Batman trilogy exist off in its own bubble of continuity separate from Justice League, the Snyder Cut, however you want to think about that line of continuity that started with the Man of Steel movie. One of Matt Reeves' previous statements was something like, yes, the movie is part of the DC comic book universe, kind of, in the sense that all the characters exist as part of a single IP brand under DC Comics, but in reality, it's not meant to be connected to other movies. They're not going to be referencing Superman during the Batman movie next year. They're not going to be referencing the Justice League or anything like that. They'll just be talking about the Batman characters inside Gotham City. There's always the opportunity for them to change their minds about that in the future, but it's not meant to start out that way. And here's where we get to the multiverse, where it all starts to make a little more sense. Number 3, Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman in multiple new DC movies, starting with the Flashpoint movie. They're going to be filming that movie early next year. And to boot, he's also coming back as the older version of his Batman from the 1989 Tim Burton Batman movies. So they're canonizing the Burtonverse to the larger DCEU multiverse. Remember how I said the movies are taking a page from the DC TV shows? Crisis on Infinite Earths did the same thing last year with almost all the previous DC movies and TV shows that have ever existed, going all the way back to the 1966 Adam West Batman series. They even had a cameo scene from Burt Ward as his version of Robin.
But the time for preparation is past. The crisis is now upon us all.
Holy crimson skies of death!
Most of you saw at least some of that, so you saw how they executed that. They just had short cameo scenes with a bunch of different versions of the characters from different movies and TV shows. They only did a handful in each episode, but you get the idea. Everything is canon now because of the multiverse. The difference with the DCEU and the other DC movies is that it's harder to say that of the movie side of things until they literally have a multiverse scene like that in a DC movie. Like, you can't necessarily say that Christopher Nolan's Batman is connected to the DCEU because of the multiverse until you actually see someone from the Christopher Nolan movies interact with someone from the DCEU movies. The Flashpoint movie with Michael Keaton's 1989 Batman will be the first official time they do something like that, but that's them canonizing the Burtonverse. You can't necessarily say that every single DC movie is going to be connected now inside the DCEU. I'm sure there will be a lot of other funny multiverse references. Hopefully John Wesley Shipp gets a cameo scene. Hopefully Kevin Conroy at some point will get a cameo scene in one of the live-action DC movies. The version of Flashpoint that they're going to be doing for the Flash movie is going to be very different from the comic book version. Ezra Miller has spent more time talking about the movie in the context of broadening the multiverse than talking about the actual Flashpoint comic book story. Multiverse stories are very common for the Flash. They've been doing the multiverse with alternate versions of the characters of the Flash TV show for several years now. So even if you haven't watched that TV show in a while, you totally know what's going on.
This should be impossible now.
It should be impossible now?
You don't know about the...
Oh my god, don't do this to me. I don't know about the what.
So number 2, next big question, the main reason why they're bringing Michael Keaton back right now, instead of, say, using Robert Pattinson's Batman in the Flashpoint movie for a big crossover, is because of what I said before. They want to protect Matt Reeves from having to overcomplicate his Batman movie stories with the idea of the multiverse. But DC needs a Batman in its big Justice League crossovers. Batman is just too big of an IP to leave him out of these big Justice League movies in the DCEU. Ben Affleck has already said that he's done being Batman in the new movies. That's the whole reason why he said he passed the torch to Robert Pattinson. This is the clip of him on Kimmel talking about it last year.
You know, I tried to direct a version of it and worked with a really good screenwriter, but just kind of couldn't come up with a version that couldn't crack it. And so I thought it was like, you know, time to let someone else take a shot at it. They got some really good people, so...
As much of a bummer as that is, he is coming back to do additional voiceover dialogue for the Justice League Snyder Cut. But right now, that's it. And technically, that's not a new movie. That's an old movie that Zack Snyder never got to finish making, and now he's just finishing it. So as the Wrap, Deadline, Variety, all the other trade publications were saying yesterday, Warner Brothers' solution for having their crossover Batman in the future DCEU movies is just to do the older style Batman with Michael Keaton in a Nick Fury type of role. Someone to cameo and crossover in multiple movies, helping tie everything together, leading up to another big team-up Justice League sequel down the road. And because it's the multiverse, just because they're bringing Keaton back doesn't mean that they're erasing the previous DCEU movies. Those will still be canon. Ben Affleck's Batman will still be canon. But because Matt Reeves won't be done with his Batman trilogy for at least 7 or 8 years, however long it takes them to make 3 new Batman movies, and Warner Brothers will probably want to do their next Justice League movie before that happens, and they don't want to cross over with Robert Pattinson's Batman franchise during that trilogy, Michael Keaton's Batman from Earth 89 is just the solution to that problem. You need a Batman in that next Justice League movie, but you don't want to touch Robert Pattinson while they're finishing that trilogy. Pick up the bat phone and offer Michael Keaton a giant pile of cash to come back. And even though I haven't mentioned it yet, Michael Keaton is actually doing the exact same thing with his Vulture character in the Sinister Six team-up that they're building up to in the Marvel movies and the Sony Spider-Man movies. So this isn't the first time that Michael Keaton has done this. He's actually going to be in the Morbius movie as his Vulture character from Spider-Man Homecoming next year. So it'll give you a good idea for what it's going to be like seeing his Batman pop up in a bunch of different DC movies. But since Warner Brothers is still saying that Robert Pattinson's Batman is the main Batman, I think that just implies that when Michael Keaton does show up as Batman inside other DC movies, they'll mostly be smaller cameo scenes. When they made the Nick Fury comparison, think about it this way, there have only been 3 Marvel movies, really, where Nick Fury was in most of the movie. Most of the time, he just shows up for a couple scenes, then goes away. And I'm also kind of expecting that when Michael Keaton's Batman does show up on screen with the other DC characters, most of the time he will not be wearing a Batman costume. He'll just look like old Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond. So number 1, obviously, live-action Batman Beyond is the other thing the internet has been talking about. All of these small Michael Keaton cameo scenes will be totally awesome to watch, and the thought of him in a new Justice League movie sounds amazing, but I still think that Warner Brothers' ultimate plan is to develop another new Batman franchise after Matt Reeves' movies with Batman Beyond. Sony is doing the exact same thing now with its Spider-Man movies. It has the main MCU Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, Peter Parker, but it's also doing the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies with alternate versions of Peter Parker and other Spider-Man, and it's also doing the Venom movies with Tom Hardy, former Batman movie villain. So obviously Warner Brothers wants to get to the point where they can capitalize on other Batman characters in the movies, and Batman Beyond is just one of the biggest, most popular characters that they've never tried in any of the big live-action movies, and it's a totally fresh take on the character. My only hope for that is that they do wind up doing Batman Beyond in the movies, that they'll let Kevin Conroy cameo at some point. But everyone, let me know in the comments below, what do you want them to do with Michael Keaton's Batman outside of the Flashpoint movie? There was a brand new Superman movie trailer that DC just dropped. I'll do a video for that later tonight, so as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see that when I post it. I'll also name a giveaway winner when I post that. While you wait for everything, click here for my other brand new Michael Keaton Batman video, and click here to learn about the new version of the Joker that they're supposedly introducing during the new Batman trilogy. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.